everyone. I hope you are all equally excited as I am for today's panel discussion. And if you have had the opportunity to attend yesterday's session, so I think Dr. Jaipal's keynote address has already set the tone for this monitoring symposium. The theme for this year, is urban birds. And in today's panel, we'll actually try to dig a little deeper into the opportunities and challenges that people who want to monitor birds in urban areas face today. And this topic is very close to my heart. Doing my PhD in forest areas, living in Dehradun for 10 years has given me this very interesting, unique opportunity to observe birds in different type of habitat. And also, sometimes the boundaries are so blurred that you can't really place the birds in urban versus rural or forest areas. I am Monika Kaushik, and I'm a bird watcher, a researcher, and moderator for this session. For the last 3 years, I am settled in Bangalore Azim Premji University, where I'm teaching as assistant professor. I teach subjects related to biology, ecology, conservation biology. And I got fascinated by birds and urban birds when as I told you, in Dehradun during my PhD work. But when I was there in Dehradun, one thing that was very apparent was this rapid urbanization. And I think just like any bird watcher, you feel sad that you lose places where you have been seeing few birds in particular. So that what are your hotspots, and you go there and watch bird, and they were slowly going away. So in 2018, I started a project to understand what are the local and landscape level variable that shapes the bird communities in urban green spaces within 18 green spaces of Dehradun. And that's what I had done. Currently, I'm interested and looking into the effect of noise and urban predators in shaping the bird communities in urban areas. It is my honor and privilege to actually introduce my panelists today. And we all come from different walk of life, but one common interest and one common passion that we all share is to save the birds in urban areas, and to also encourage other to watch birds in and around them. So I'll start by introducing Dr. Dhanajai Mohan. He's a distinguished expert in forest and wildlife management with a career spanning over 3 decades, actually close to 4 decades in Indian Forest Service. A graduate of IIT Kanpur, he has held numerous leadership roles, including Director of Wildlife Institute of India, Principal Chief Conservator of Forest for Uttarakhand. He has guided a number of master student and PhD student for their dissertation, including me. So he's the person responsible for encouraging me and putting me on this path. Dr. Mohan's career is a testament to his dedication for conservation, bridging the gap between professional forestry management and his personal passion for birds. So welcome, sir, and I hope that we'll be able to utilize your expertise and experience of watching birds, monitoring, being involved in various monitoring programs. Next, we have Sahana, a passionate birder with a banking background. And I was really impressed to learn about her very recently. She has dedicated more than 15 years to exploring and documenting birds, India's bird wildlife. And what struck to me when I spoke to her very recently is that she's on a mission to watch bird in every district in India. She has already watched close to 1,000 birds, or maybe more than that. She's also an eBird editor for the state of Karnataka. She has contributed to the Merlin app, Merlin photo and sound projects. She has been systematically monitoring a patch very close to her house. And all the questions that we are going to get for patch monitoring are probably going to go to her and Subhadra. And she has also volunteered for Bird Atlas project in Mysore and Kerala. So you can see that she wears a lot of hat. And one thing again that struck to me and I could relate to her is that she has this garden where she is growing different type of vegetable. She was a butterfly person earlier and has been converted to a bird person. a decade ago, I think. So welcome you, Sahana. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on this panel. Then I'm going to introduce someone who has been called as a crazy birder by my fellow researchers and colleagues. Praveen Bennur is a PhD student at La Trobe University, Melbourne, specializing in plant science and agriculture. While his academic focus is on plant, his passion for bird has made him a dedicated contributor to citizen science. His in bird started in his own farm in Bagalkot, Karnataka. And I think we all watch bird, but it takes a lot of effort and a different type of passion to train the next batch of bird watcher, and he has done that with the help of by starting a birding club in GKVK while he was doing his masters there. He has contributed to a lot of field surveys that contributed to the bird atlases. He has also surveyed in wildlife sanctuaries, documented seasonal bird movement and breeding behavior. He's contributing to eBird and actively promote bird awareness through guided walks, photography, and community outreach. So, welcome, Praveen, and I am looking forward
Thank
to
you.
interact with you and to know how you are doing this, because these days it's take time, and also a lot of, I think we need to know the Gen Z lingo to connect with the new generation of bird watchers. And
Thank you.
finally, last but not the least, Subhadra. She's a dedicated birder and a nature enthusiast based in Bangalore. She's been actively monitoring a local patch, and again, I mean, something that she shared recently with us is that she was accidentally introduced to bird watching when she landed up in an eagle nest wildlife sanctuary where she watched birds seriously for the first time. Subhadra is also engaging with communities, contributing to bird community by mentoring new birder and leading bird walk. And she has been involved with the State of India's Bird Project, where again, I mean, I got to know her more deeply. So thank you, Subhadra, and welcome you on this panel. Um, Now that I hope all of you remember that few weeks ago we circulated this Google form to all the registered participant where we asked you to share the question to our panelists to discuss this theme of bird monitoring in urban areas and what are the opportunities and challenges. So I request others also to share their question on the Zoom webinar. We'll be taking your question. We have already compiled the question that you had sent, but please don't feel restricted. If you have sent a question, you can send again. Um, and at this point, I'll start by just asking this why question. Although Dr. Chaipal's talk has covered that really well, but I feel that all of us have personal reasons for monitoring bird in our backyard, in the places where we work. So I think my first question is open to all the panelists. I'm asking, why do you think it is important to monitor bird, and were there personal reasons for you to monitor bird? And in your monitoring journey, have you seen any peculiar trend as of yet? Thank you.
I'll go first.
Yeah, please.
So, I live in Bangalore, like Monika has already introduced me with, and I live in an area where there's like urbanization is like sort of rapidly expanding. But this small layout, the gated community where I live, is like sort of the greenest area around that place. And I started living here in 2003 when there was only one house, which was my house. And now there are about 150 houses. And I think the time when I started birding, that was in 2014, and then 2016, when I started like very seriously birding, that was the peak of the this gated community with respect to the greenery. Uh, because in 2003 when I started living, there was absolutely no trees here, just like this one house and like red mud around. And at that time, the people who were like building the layout, they ended up planting a lot of trees, and it grew and like became a complete like good green cover by about like in about 10 years or so. Then now I can see that there are like 150 houses, and that greenery has like sort of like reduced, because with each house coming in, that much of like trees are being like cut from that plot, and then new houses are coming in. So I'm really unfortunately there is no data from 2003 till 2015. That is the time when I started like monitoring the birds. But from 2015 to 2025, now I have data, structured data from about like 2019. That is when I started doing patch monitoring, and this place has got a lot of migratory birds coming in, and it is used by a lot of birds like pittas and a lot of flycatchers as a stopover when they are doing the migration more to the south, and also a lot of flycatchers stay here itself during the winter. So during the summer, if I see something like 20, 22 birds on a daily basis in my 15-minute birding, during summer, winter, I can actually like see about 30 plus birds, including all these flycatchers, then starlings and multiple warblers, which will be there. So it is very exciting, but it is also a little concerning that these numbers are actually coming down. There was a time when I saw this fork-tailed drongo cuckoo, and it used to come to this one particular area on a regular basis. In 3 years continuously, I saw that there. And then last year, that particular spot has been built up. Now there are two houses which has come in that area, and I don't think the drongo cook is going to like come there anymore. So that change is actually like very visible even on a year-on-year basis, which is, yeah, which is sad, but which is a reality of life in an urban space. So right now I'm monitoring, but I hope with this data which I'm collecting, there will be something more I will be able to like do in the coming years. Yeah, that is my personal interest and my personal journey with respect to the bird monitoring in my patch.
Thank you, Subhadra. I think that's how majority of us has started being recording or observing bird more seriously than we were doing earlier. Can I request
Yeah.
anyone else to?
Yeah, I'll do. Same like Subhadra, when I shifted to my present resident, it was like an open space, more of very less houses and all. So I could see black-winged kite just perched on the power line outside my house, and even during the winter, I saw common kestrels and starlings were there, and yellow wattle lapping and Indian thickney. They used to breed just outside my house. So, and especially post-COVID, houses have started come up like anything. Almost, I think, 50 to 60 houses are there now. So way, I did not do any structural bird monitoring in this patch. Okay, and I didn't know, being a non-life science graduate, I did not know how to start all those. But I was just uploading some 50 minutes checklist, all those things. So then in 2020, Bird Count India, they came up with a patch monitoring project. At that time, I thought like I should do something from the scratch. So I selected one patch, which was like some developers were building a residential layout in that place. So I started doing patch monitoring in that place properly with all the following all the protocols. And it's a very long-term project. So I think I may need 10 more years to get the proper data, I think, because that project also developing very slowly. But the thing is now I am monitoring that also along with my current resident place also. But my current resident place, I'm not doing there is no structured bird monitoring. Just uploading 50 minutes just whenever I get free time or whenever I see some interesting bird activity. So this is how I ended up with the patch monitoring.
I'm happy that developmental project is taking long. Probably birds are also getting some time to get adjusted to.
They bounce back. They are very resilient. So yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Dhanajai sir, would you like to go next?
Yeah. So good morning to all the participants. Yeah, I'm an old timer, so I'll go back to history a bit because I started serious birding in early 80s. And first time when I felt that the birds are in trouble or declining was again long back. I remember my first, because those days in I would say one couldn't really see much of change the way it is happening now. But when I went to Arunachal for the first time in 1988, the place I went to, there were birds all around. And then again, my second visit, those days, traveling to Northeast used to be very, very difficult. And there used to be a lot of disturbances also. My next visit was 8 years down the line. The place I visited, I could feel that there were fewer birds around. And of course, that's a very different area where locals actually, as a part of their tradition, hunt birds. But the decline was very evident. I mean, without any quantification or anything. So since then, I had this idea that we ought to monitor birds. We ought to know how the birds are adapting or changing with time and with development or any other pressure. So this was there all the time on the back of my mind. And since I joined the Forest Service, I got some opportunities. And it took time, and it was only in around 2004 that I could launch a fairly widespread kind of a monitoring protocol, a Yamuna Valley bird count, we called it. And it was not an urban bird count per se, although there were few trails which were a little into an urban setting also. But most of them were in forested areas and ranging from altitudes from 500 meters to 3,000 meters. And 16 trails, 5 to 8 kilometers, a lot of participation, a lot of organization. So from the forest department, we could do that. But it's very difficult to sustain such efforts, and we could do only 4 counts, 2 summer and 2 winter counts, and then it's fizzled out. But we do have data of from 2004 to 2006, which is, I feel, is very, very valuable. We can always redo those trails. In fact, one of those trails I've been redoing as a part of another monitoring protocol that I, along with a few fellow birders in Dehradun, Monika also participated in the Masuri bird count, we call it, but it's in the Masuri Wildlife Sanctuary, so very good forested area. And since 2015, we've been doing, there was a break of 2 years in COVID period, but besides that, from 2015, we've been doing this monitoring protocol. Again, trails, 4 trails, 5 to 8 kilometers long. Just do one walk in the first Sunday of May, and just it's an encounter data protocol. And I'm happy that since it is close to Dehradun, and there has always been fellow birders who join in. So it's really we've been able to sustain it till now, and I hope we'll be able to sustain it in future years also. So that's the problem with monitoring. Sustaining a monitoring protocol, if it involves larger area, more number of people, can be problematic. There could be financial issues also. Well, in the 2 monitoring protocols that I just mentioned, we got support from the forest department, and of course, it was kind of individual driven. But nonetheless, we got the support, and we could do that because that definitely required some organizational issues. But coming to more doable things, and Sahana and Subhadra just spoke about patch monitoring. I think this is something which is doable, and if we can have many patches of this kind, and in fact, this is where urban areas score over other areas, because urban areas, you are there, you are living there. So that is the place where you can actually manage and monitor birds with a great ease. In fact, I started monitoring, things became much more organized after eBird came in 2014. And since 2014, I've been counting birds from my rooftop. So I have a 11-year data already with me. And I just retired 2 months back. So now I'm looking forward to analyze it and see trends. As Sahana said that it needs to be at least 10 years. So I've crossed that barrier and I'm really excited to analyze that. And even my PhD work, which is again, I would say in a way, urban birds only. It's in a campus, New Forest FRI campus, 2004 to 2006. So nearly 12,000 observations. That also I intend to repeat. And repeating things after a gap of 2 decades, I think will be very, very revealing in so many ways, because so much has changed. But of course, when it comes to urban areas, the change is now too fast, and we need to have more and more patches. And as I said, it can be simple rooftop 10 minutes count or 15. eBird says 15 minutes, but I started much earlier before this protocol. So I have a 10-minute protocol from my rooftop. And I have already some 1,200 odd checklists spanning over 11 years. So, it's very easy. And of course, one point that we discussed yesterday also, that it tends to get boring, as people say. But I don't think so. For me, going to the rooftop and looking at birds around is as exciting as it used to be in 2014. Because there's every day, because it shouldn't be ending at just identifying the birds. You have to look at the behavior, timing. Last year I noticed that I felt that there were 2 peaks of Blythe's reed warbler return passage in the month of May. And I suspected, because the first peak had more songs and the second peak had relatively very few songs, more of calls. I suspected that the first wave was that of males and second was of females. Now, this discovery, it took me 25 years of birding in this house where I live to realize this. So there are discoveries. All you need to do is, I think, keep your minds open for new things, strange things, behavioral things, migratory things. I'm fortunate that I live in a place that is very, very bird rich. My house overlooks a tea estate, which is like my yard birding. But because of this landscape is very rich, and I have more than 150 species from my rooftop recorded in last so many years. That's huge. Well, the change, interestingly, Dr. Jaipal's talk also highlighted, but this is a point that I just wanted to touch upon. The change is very interesting. In Dehradun Valley, Oriental pied, he talked about bringing back Oriental pied hornbills in Singapore. In Dehradun, it has happened on its own without any effort. 2007 onwards, Oriental pied hornbills just arrived from the Shivaliks, which is close by. They were always there. And now the whole valley is flooded with Oriental pied hornbills. You can see them in the busiest areas, sitting atop large buildings and in the most densely populated areas. So interesting things. So urban bird monitoring can be very, very interesting. A lot of surprises, more negative, but some positive also. And a lot of planting people do at their homesteads. And of course, that is always biased towards flowering and fruiting trees. And that's why I think I see so much of crimson sunbird all around. And another thing is that many times the older urban areas, they mature, trees become larger. I see greater flameback much more commonly now in my area, in my urbanized area, than it used to be 20 years ago. Perhaps the trees have become bigger. So they are attracting larger woodpeckers also. So, a lot of interesting things. But what I would recommend to everybody is that do birding every day from your home. I think that's the best thing. And if we have so many people doing it all over the country, I think we can get an amazing database on urban birds. Sorry, I think I spoke too much. Thank you so much, and look forward to more interaction in the next 1 hour.
Thank you, sir. I think we all wanted to hear your stories. And I'm pretty sure it's true for people who are joining us on the webinar and listening us on the YouTube as well. There is so much of experience, including birding experience in these different type of habitat. But I think what you are saying, what others are saying is that okay, you might get opportunities to go to some secluded areas and to watch some very unique bird once in a while, but you can always watch birds and there are surprises. That's really, I think, heartening to hear from someone who had gone to some very nice and cool places. So, Praveen, would you like to then answer the question, why monitor bird in urban areas?
Yeah, so I'll just take an example from my own experience. Why I'm here mainly it's because I did a lot of birding in GKVK campus, place very close to my heart. Of course, the college campuses we study in, they're always close to us. But I had another extra reason, that is I did a lot of birding in that campus. This is a very great biodiversity hotspot for to attract a lot of birds in the metropolitan city like Bangalore. So if you just have a bird eye view again on this campus, you will see it's a jungle with which is surrounded by a concrete space throughout it, actually surrounding it. So I think that was the reason, I guess, we saw a great activity and great diversity within the campus. And monitoring such spaces are absolutely necessary, because that's what, the activity in the cities are concentrated in these pockets. So we get to see a lot of activity. And the main another thing is migratory birds movement. So we get to see a lot of migratory birds coming and resting in these spaces. So, for example, in the month of September or October, as of I'm talking now, this is a time that we used to see a lot of passage migrants coming and resting in the campus. For example, I'll give you a very interesting observation we did. Way back in 2022, when I was still in the campus. So it was on, I think if I remember, it was on 26th of September, we saw a European roller in the campus. So I was just doing my regular birding in the campus, and then I came across this bird. So I was so happy. I called all my, birding juniors who were in the campus that time. And then they all had this opportunity to see that bird. But strangely, and of course, I then moved to Melbourne to do my PhD in the beginning of 23. But surprisingly and also strangely, on 25th of September in 2023, we saw the European roller again back in the campus. So that was like that was like so surprising for us, actually. And I was thinking, was it the same bird which came last year? Because we know that migratory birds take the same paths every year. And then we were wondering, like, oh, we missed an opportunity that we could have banded that bird, so that we would have known about that bird returning back to the campus again. So this highlights the importance that why we need to monitor the patches in the cities, especially like the campuses, which are great attractive places for these birds and for their movement, actually. Yep.
Thank you, Praveen. I think you are right. These places have this unique energy of young people, and we can harness that. And it's also a good activity that they can learn. And I think I know it's a little detour, but I also wanted to ask you, many of us, when we were stuck during COVID in our houses, we took and also, I mean, it's good to be at home, but at the same time, not for too long. So, if you can just very quickly share what have been some of the joys of bird watching, because it's kind of connected with monitoring. I mean, I'm sure people who are here, they might feel that, okay, why to do this? This is not only for sustaining the bird, but also we are getting something out of it. So I just want your personal experiences, the joys, and if there is anything in particular that you want to share, what birding brings to you.
Yep. So again, I'm a lockdown birder. So I was doing my masters, and then I in GKVK campus, and then during the first lockdown, I was just started to work as a research fellow in the campus itself. So during the lockdown, so we all shifted our base camps from cities to our villages. So I went back to my village, which is called Benkatti, which is a small village in Bagalkot district, North Karnataka. So when I went back to my home, so of course my family main occupation is agriculture. Both my dad and mom, they are farmers. So we have a 6 acres land there. It's a semi-arid habitat there, and there are so many birds. Until and unless I saw red wattle lapwings and then some of the birds nesting in our banana farm. We have a 5 acre of banana growing farm in our field. So until and unless that point, I was not drawn towards the birds. I was more of an orchid student. I was collecting a lot of orchids in Western Ghats before that, but that changed actually. That lockdown time in my farm, what I spent there. So we were growing brinjal as a vegetable crop, and also we had this banana farm. Interestingly, I started noticing that. Usually farmers grow banana for at least 1 or 2, maximum of 2 to 3 years. So 1 year crop, it's a 1 year crop, but they usually grow it for maximum of 2 to 3 years by taking suckers from the same plant, that is allowing the baby plants which grow below the mother plant. But once they think that the yield is becoming low due to multiple cropping, they remove it and then plant it again. But in my farm, because I come from plant background and I worked on banana for almost 6 years, so we are maintaining the same crop for almost 10 years in that 5 acre patch. So that in that patch, I observed that lot of birds, mainly the laughing doves and the red-vented bulbuls, so they were nesting in the banana bunch itself. So that was very surprising to me actually, because we harvest the bunches and the bird know that the bunch won't be there after a couple of days, but they were still taking that time as an opportunity to make nest and raise their chicks there. So that was eye-opening for me, and that's when I started the birding activity. And I was soon introduced to eBird by my mentor, Harisha, so who was also a birder in GKVK campus. So soon I was introduced to eBird by him, and then when I came back to GKVK after this lockdown period, I seriously started birding because eBird was very easily accessible, and it could become a part of our day-to-day life. So that's how I took it, and then I started birding in the campus. But GKVK has a campus. It's a great place. It's also it's a very big 1,300 acres campus. And what's more important or special about this campus is it has a lot of diversity within itself. We have a wooded area which is botanical garden, and we have farmlands where we grow different crops which attracts a lot of different birds. And we have a shrubby patch which is in the towards the back end of the campus, which still has a lot of native plants in there. So because of all these reasons, so I started monitoring birds in the campus. But within 6 months, when I got acquainted with all these birds, so I was noticing that there was not much happening apart from me and one of my friend, one of my MSc friend. Her name was called Fasia. So with only two of us, it was not possible to cover the whole campus every day. So that's the reason that I started a small birding group. So started doing some activities like doing the campus bird counts or the global
Praveen,
big days.
we'll cover that in the next session, in the next question
Sure,
or
sure, sure.
theme.
Yep.
Therefore, I'm sorry, I will stop
Anyway,
you.
so
Yeah.
of course, to brief for your question, so that's the reason, those things what happened in my
Yeah.
farm. That's what attracted my towards
Yeah.
birding. Yeah.
True. I mean, seeing these baby birds and your patch being utilized by these birds,
Yes.
I can understand the feeling. Anyone else would like to share very quickly, maybe 1 minute?
I will go very quickly on one experience.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I and Mittal, both of us were like down with COVID and quarantining together in my house. And so we couldn't do our daily dose of walking around the layout to bird, but we had to like do our birding on top of the house on the terrace. So one day I think Mittal was making the list. I was just calling out the birds and I said like cuckoo. I mean, I said drongo, black drongo. And then I looked at it and said, it doesn't look like black drongo. Mittal looked at it and said, oh, it is a fork-tailed drongo cuckoo. I told about the fork-tailed drongo cuckoo. So it was right there in front of my house on a rain tree. And that was the peak joyful experience, I think, of my entire terrace birding. And I think it flew away, and then Mittal called, I mean, used the call, and it came back, and we had a very good look at the bird. And that was the best experience. It was COVID birding, and it was right there in front of our house. We couldn't go out, and it just like came at our place to like give us a view. So yeah, but again, like I said earlier, the place where it was actually like coming regularly later, where I found them, it is like converted, and I'm not sure whether we will be able to like see that bird in the layout anymore. But that was like amazing.
Thanks, Subhadra. Would you like to share anything, Sahana or Dhanajai sir, about the joys of bird watching on your in your patch, on your rooftop? You had shared something about the Blythe warbler, sir. So that was really fascinating. But if
Yeah,
there
I
is
mean,
any other story, please feel
taking
free.
a cue from Subhadra, I mean, again, COVID did bring in a lot of surprises, and the best one was right in front of my house. Got a flock of spot-wing starlings, what we earlier used to call spot-wing stare. So that's quite a rarity in the sense that, of course, sometimes you see them in good numbers, but it's a strange bird doing some east-west migration in along the Himalayas. So, and in Dehradun also it appears in April and then again a little bit in July with young ones. So it breeds in actually outer Himalayas. I've seen it nesting also in the first ranges of the Himalayas. But that was one of the biggest joys from my home. Of course, there are a lot of other interesting things that I get from my rooftop. As I said, I'm very fortunate to be living in such an area. Birds like maroon oriole, rosy minivets. Um, um, I mean, there's so many birds which otherwise, I mean, it gives so much excitement to any bird watcher. Blue-bearded bee-eaters, they come pretty often to my house. So I'm very fortunate that way. And yeah, and so I'm this morning, just about an hour back, or maybe hour and a half back, there were three brown rock chats, and suddenly they started singing again. They were singing about 2 months back, and maybe they because after a very uh, I should say intensive spell of monsoon today, it was a bright clear morning. Maybe they were just welcoming the morning, but it was a surprise for me. Brown rock chats singing again after a gap. So a lot of surprises on a daily basis. So that's the joy of birding. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sahana?
Yeah, this is not during a COVID time, but the thing is, once I was doing my rooftop birding, I saw painted bush quail. And painted bush quail, yeah, it is supposed to be a Western Ghat species, Western Ghat grassland species, and it's near in the plains, Mysore plains. Uh, for the past 2, 3 days, I was hearing the call. I was not familiar with the call at that time. So I was thinking, but whenever I tried to record it, it wasn't calling. So on that day, and it was calling from some other place, and some walkers, no, they disturbed it, and it came very near to very near to my house. So I could take some photograph, all those things for eBird. You need that documentation, no, for the rare, very unusual, rare sightings. So it's a really surprising, and painted bush quails are the very shy birds, and understanding of that bird's behavior or distribution range is still it is not properly unanswered. I feel like that. So that was some
Wow.
moment of
Yeah.
rooftop birding.
So we are watching birds not just for ecological or other reasons. We are watching bird for our own personal joy. So I think that's what I also wanted to bring out. That also takes us to the next theme, which is how I think when we are talking about these, let's say, 15-minute checklist and other type of method that we use, one of the question that we had received is how should we monitor bird in urban area? So very quickly, if you can just share the method or a protocol that you use, and I understand that would vary for different monitoring framework, but I think the panel need to discuss is what is the bare minimum an individual can do, and if they have access to few gadget, then what type of method and tools they can use.
Yeah. Shall I go first? Yeah. So if you have a mobile, and eBird app, you can do birding anywhere. So even the connectivity is not there, then you can even there also you can do the birding. Uh, and with the help of Merlin and other apps, so BirdNet and all, even you can try to recognize the calls, though they are not very, only 50% is, they suggest it, 50% is correct. So depends on the area also, once again. So it need not have a expensive gadget like a 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs camera or something. So just a rooftop or anywhere you can do stationary birding also, or you can do traveling or just a walk around your house, or some just during on the road or something. So just even during your walking time also, you are not paying any attention. You can upload, if you see suddenly some movement of some raptor, you can upload an incidental list also. So there is no hard and fast rule for this. But if you want to monitor properly, then some protocol you start following it, like 15 minutes list, either in the evening or morning. It depends on your schedule. So then, no, after 3 years, you get a pattern, or then you can see that why this bird is coming this time, why not now, only evening, why it comes. So all those things, no, you get to understand the bird, its behavior, all those things. So just
Can
intention.
I add a little bit more?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think patch monitoring, the way in which it is like defined, like Sahana was telling, a little bit more like scientific, little bit more structured birding. The patch monitoring would be a very good way to start it. So some of the details are like 15-minute checklists, and maybe 4 checklists in a day, like one after the other, and also maintain the same time. And I think the minimum required frequency is like once in 2 weeks, and that data will actually like get accumulated. And initially when we had started patch monitoring, after 1 year, Karthik had done some analysis, and from my data, I actually saw some observations which were coming out, which I didn't even see, even though the data was mine. But the way in which dusky crag martins appear, and the nesting time of cinereus, all those things were like there in that data, which when I was doing the birding, it was just not like visible to me. So patch monitoring, I think, is a very good way of like handling the monitoring and making some data available, which can be analyzed once it accumulates for some time.
Thanks, Subhadra. I think that was very sharp and pointed answer. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add, I mean, as both the panelists have just said, patch monitoring is very easily doable. As I said, I mean, it could be just a stationary rooftop birding, or maybe from your lawn, or any walk that you regularly do. Just keep in mind that the time standardization or distance standardization is there by and large. It cannot be exceedingly rigid also, but that's why eBird recommends 15 minutes checklist. But there can be variation. As I said, I started in 2014, I started with 10-minute thing. So I'm continuing with 10-minute thing. So it should be a comparable thing. That is the most important point in such kind of, and as I said, this is something easily doable whenever you feel bored, and time also gets recorded, so that can be another variable. You can do it in the afternoon also, evening also. It will produce more data, and any data that gets recorded is useful. So I think that is the thing. So everybody can do that, and as I said, I mean, all of us, almost all of us, live in urban areas, so we can actually become very strong in urban data. And if we start patch monitoring around our homesteads or our regular paths.
Okay. Praveen, you bring in a different type of experience of birding in a campus. So is there a protocol that you had followed? And if you can talk about that, I think that would be useful for student especially.
Yep. So Of course, as a group, when we started birding in the campus, so of course, since we were students, bachelor students, master students, we were always low on in terms of resources. So mainly the monetary or the money things. So even when as we started birding in groups, so we didn't had access for even the binoculars or the cameras. So what we did was, we had one or two binoculars, which we all shared, some 10, 15 or so of us when we started birding. So and also we, the more, it was more of like getting acquainted to the calls rather than seeing and identifying the birds. That was also one of the skill we started developing when we started the birding in the campus. So that actually helped us a lot when we did lists. And then for doing the checklist, I think the norm was to do a 15 minutes checklist, and this was I think we followed it as a rule actually. So all my juniors and including me, so we just did the same thing. It was a routine for us. And then one more thing what we tried to do was covering most of the habitats within the campus. So as I said, we had a great diversity. So for example, when we did the campus bird count or a global big day, so we planned it in such a way that we divided the group into 3 or 4 people, students, and then one in each of the group, at least one, there was experienced birder who know the campus very well. And then we divided them into 3 or 4 or 5 different groups, and then we went throughout the campus in different spots and then covered those spots basically. So we also wanted to get comprehensive data from the campus itself, because it is a campus birding or event or a global big day, so that we will get a maximum checklist numbers as well as maximum species recorded during that time. So these are some of the protocols we followed when we did the birding inside the campus here.
Thank you, everyone. I think the key message I'm getting is that it's fairly simple. If you cannot walk a trail, just stay stationary on a point, but be consistent in your effort in terms of time and time of the day, and also the same spot every day, or let's say every week or so forth. Okay, the next question we have received is around I think one of the main concern, not necessarily with the patch monitoring, but definitely with atlas monitoring or some larger type of monitoring, where we end up, or where we have areas that need to be sampled, that could be private properties or restricted areas. And if any of you had an experience of monitoring or surveying those areas, how you had managed to do that to avoid, I think that's one of the main question in urban areas, the security issues. And if you had an opportunity to monitor, observe bird in that, how did you overcome that limitation?
I haven't had any experience with that, but the thing is, not during that class. But the thing is, when I went to some lake, there was some security issue, and I wasn't knowing. Previously, it was they were allowing it, and suddenly they have changed it. Then I asked the authority to, this is this. I'm not going to photograph any person or anything. I'm only into birds. All those things I explained to him, and they allowed it. And next, they also said that when you visit next time, no, take a prior, permission from us. Then there is no, no need of anything else. So what I would suggest is always carry your ID card. So whenever some person asks, no, you can show your ID card and all, and you can explain them your purpose also. So
yeah, so taking prior permission and also carrying some sort of identification.
Identification proof. Yeah.
Thanks, Sahana. Okay, anybody else has any opinion on this? I think a lot of youngster, I mean, if they have, let's say we are talking about patches, and if they feel that there is this particular patch and they want to visit that, Sahana has already put that out, that it would be good to actually get the prior permission and also carry some sort of a card. Being a woman, I also feel that it would also be useful as to watch bird in such areas in a slightly larger teams, maybe 2-3 individual, and not going individually would be useful. But if any of you have any point to add, please feel free to do so. Um,
Yeah, if I can add
yes,
a
please.
few things.
Yeah.
Of course, we had a constant issues with permissions within the campus, even though we were students within the campus. So we didn't had access to all the places. For example, we have this botanical garden in the campus, which is always restricted, and it has a time when it opens and closes. It's with the usual university timings. So, but we used to do birding in the early mornings and in the late evenings, where we usually get the more activity. So, and on the weekends, that's when we planned a lot of group birding. So, and we always did it in the early morning, around 6 or 6:30, and we didn't have access to the botanical garden. So that was there were issues with getting permissions, and then so we used to, as a group, reach the concerned professors who were looking after those areas, and then take prior permissions from them as well. And one more problem which we faced was bringing outsiders inside the campus. So that was a huge issue with the university people as well. So they didn't want other people to be in the university, mainly in the non-working hours. So but somehow that's what the point was to again talk to the professors, get the prior permission from them, and then arrange the logistics for all these things. And then that's how we did a lot of birding in the campus. Also, outsiders joined us during all these campus birding events, because we used to make posters to attract people from outside as well. So somehow it reached them as well through the social media outreach, WhatsApp and Instagrams. And then we did get a lot of people coming from the outside to the campus. And of course, we did everything through the prior permissions. So and using camera and binoculars was a big taboo inside the campus itself, because the security people didn't know what's the purpose of using this inside the campus. So but then again, we used to make them understand what exactly we are doing, what is what are birds, how it is connected to the campus, some basic things in the local languages we used to talk to them. And so these are the things which we practiced every now and then inside the campus when we were birding.
Yeah, it's a good idea to actually, if you are going to have a sustained monitoring effort, be Atlas or somewhere in a campus or somewhere, good to have a written permission, carry it along. I remember when for my PhD work I work in the FRI campus, where a lot of fellow IFS officers were there working. So I had to take a written permission, because when you are inside some remoter parts of the campus, in the forested parts, you encounter a forest guard. He doesn't know who you are and what. So that's where the paper works. So it's always good. And gone are the days when most of these places used to have a free access. We have seen those days, but I think last 15, 20 years, almost everywhere you have private security or some kind of security. And so you need to be careful on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this
So
point,
just to
please,
add
please.
one little thing. So unfortunately, we had a professor in our campus who was also a naturalist and a birder. So he was also a dean of the GKVK college. And then I think that helped us a lot, because we used to go through him. So that was another point. Getting to know our professors well, that also helps a lot for us in these kind of activities. Yes.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Praveen. I am going to take questions that are pouring in. So there is a question from Dr. Raja Jaipal. He is asking, urban bird monitoring in India still remains the pursuit of a small privileged group. Though things are changing fast now with inclusions of others, how can we scale up the activity with active participation of all the urban stakeholders? Can we make this as inclusive as possible? People who have been bringing people in, I think, can answer this question very well. I think, Praveen, you were talking about these Instagram posts, another thing. But Subhadra, you and Sahana, I remember you are working with different groups and training them for bird watching. Sahana, you in particular, I remember working with the school, training the young generation. Yeah, so if you can just talk about that, that would be very useful.
Train them young. So, the thing is, the thing is, we don't have curriculum, that nature awareness or nature education curriculum in the school. So usually if the school kids are exposed to these kind of thing in their early ages, no, they develop a this kind of habit of observing the things, and later they can upload these things to the like eBird citizen science platform. We have to tackle those generation kids, so encourage them to do more birding or more actively participating in citizen science.
Okay. So catch them and probably it will get the
Yeah.
attention of their parents as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the parents is one problem there. So I have a little bit of experience with trying to make the rest of the people in my gated community bird a little bit. And I used to conduct regular bird walks to see whether there will be like someone who will be interested. For the regular middle class urban person, I don't think birding it becomes very interesting. But there was this one girl, 11, 12-year-old girl who got like really hooked. But even I couldn't get her out to birding regularly because her mom completely like banned me from like taking her out, because she said like she needs to concentrate on her studies. So now I have like stopped trying, and when I have more time in life, I'm thinking I will try it again. But right now I am usually concentrating on people who reach out to me with what I have figured is, if there is a little bit of interest, to push them over to the other side, to like make them bird regularly, is like so much more easier than to create that interest. So people who come to me with a little bit of interest, I will like help them with more birding. But I have like right now stopped trying to like get more people into birding whom I have access to around me.
I think since I also get involved in a lot of training programs, be it for forest staff or even nature guides and naturalists, budding naturalists and nature guides. Uh, but I realized that I never mentioned about patch monitoring or monitoring there. You're all only talking about identifying birds and showing birds and how to do that and all. I think we need to talk more about monitoring, and particularly simple things like patch monitoring. And this is another network which is growing. The nature guides, bird guides. I mean, my state, Uttarakhand, has many places like Ramnagar would have some 50 to 100 bird guides, and they can all do patch monitoring intermittently from their homes or any other place. So this network, I think there is a scope to enlarge this kind of monitoring. There are people. Only thing, this idea needs to be put in their minds regularly, and I'm sure many will take it up. I think there are good number of participants here, and many of them can, if they are not doing it already, many of them can actually initiate these things, which are very simple to do and very exciting as well. And I think once you get a slightly long-term data, analyzing it will be yet another very exciting step. So I also realized that I have never talked about monitoring so intensively in all the training programs I have been part of. So, but I need to do that. Yeah, we probably miss that out always when we interact with people.
Thank you, sir. Praveen, you have already discussed your point on this. Another question which is related, and again, I understand that majority of us are involved with patch monitoring and campus bird monitoring, but it would be wonderful to listen anyone responding to this particular question related to the funding. So what strategies exist to secure long-term funding and institutional support for monitoring in rapidly changing urban areas? This is from Avantika, Indian Institute of Forest Management.
I think there were some interesting leads in yesterday's Dr. Jaipal's talk, talking about smart cities and biodiversity also figuring in their mandate. So I think smart cities those projects have a lot of money, and for them to give small amounts for some kind of a monitoring shouldn't be very difficult. So that can be one source. Just last month, in August, I think Chennai launched a city biodiversity index program, which was initiated in Singapore again, which was popularly known as Singapore Index also. So these are opportunities. I think we should interact with the civic bodies and give them this idea. Maybe some of them will take it positively and provide funding as well. I mean, this can be used for things like atlases and which require funding. For patch monitoring, you do not require any funding really. Yeah. But for things like atlas, where there are a lot of people involved, and so you need finances also. So that's where you can tap, I think, such sources. And I'm also getting ideas to do this in Dehradun. Yesterday's talk was, I think, that way it gave a lot of good ideas.
Monika, you're muted.
I'm saying that thank you, sir. I think it's a wonderful idea to tap or at least try to explore the smart city project, and if there is a probability of monitoring bird under this particular area. But one thing that I would like to share, although I'm a moderator, I shouldn't be doing that, but I think as far as research goes, I'm not really aware of anything that is related to the monitoring of birds or the funding for monitoring bird, but thankfully there are some resources to do research on urban bird, and I have been lucky to get money from my university and also from Rafford Foundation. So I think if you are someone who is interested in studying urban birds in particular, there are some avenues. So please look out for them. And there are a few fellowships that are specifically for studying birds in urban areas. They are very short timed, but I think that still serve the purpose. Yeah. With that, there is another question that is related to, which is again a challenge. How do you actually maintain? We can actually have different people coming in, especially for, I think, very long term or large scale project. We can have, or even for campus bird monitoring project, we can have people, but how to actually maintain that interest. Sir also spoke about it, sustaining the interest and active participation in large term or longer, large scale projects, especially when they come from different academic background, and for them monitoring is not really related to, let's say, something like a publication. So in those cases, how do you sustain their interest is what I think people want to know.
Can I
Yes,
go?
please, Praveen.
Yep. So this was a bigger challenge for me as well, because when I started this as a group activity, so sustaining the student numbers was a bigger challenge, because they used to come on that particular day when we did the campus bird count or the global big day things. But after that, the numbers drastically reduced. But luckily, of course, we meet a lot of like-minded students when we do this kind of group activities. So I was very happy. Even one or two students continued this pursuit of doing birding as a hobby for themselves. So this is how everything started in the campus. One or two students joining whenever we did an event, and then that became very big later. And now there are more than 15-20 students who are constantly monitoring year after year the birding in the campus. So even when I left the campus, so the number was still there, and even today it's still going on. This is how and one more thing what I did was, so whenever new students joined in for this group activity, at some point the campus birding became bored for them as well. But to encourage them, and I used to take them to the different spots in the Bangalore city itself, monitoring the lakes, because we didn't had any water bodies inside the campus. So we took them to the Hesarghatta Lake or the Allal Sandra Lake, which is very close, or Dodbam Sandra Lake, which also had great bird numbers there. So that's how I planned it. So every weekend we used to go outside the campus near to the nearby lakes. And after this, again, I took it to one more level by taking them to different places in Karnataka. So I luckily had a friend in Western Ghats who had a farmhouse there, which is with a 6 to 8 acres farm close to the forest area. So then I went there first for the first time, and then I was like blown out with the diversity there. So Western Ghat birds, they always attract us. So then I took whole of my group to do birding there. So after that, again to take it to another level. So then we started participating in the bird atlas, or in the participating in the birding in the sanctuaries, wherever they need volunteers for these kind of things. I was very lucky enough to be in contact with a lot of people from NCF like Ashwin, or Karthik, and again Sahana. So these were the people who were letting me know about all these opportunities. So I was trying to cash in all these opportunities, and then that's how it was done for almost 3 or 4 years. So yeah, so this is how I try to maintain the sustenance, or keeping the students interested in doing this birding day to day in their day to day activities. Yeah.
This looks like a mammoth task, Praveen, taking them from campus all the way to different places in Karnataka
Yeah.
and then
So
atlases.
I was lucky that I could we could do a lot of activity within
Yeah.
2-3 years, and yeah, so yep, yeah, so it's just that we all like-minded students were in one group, so that's the thing actually.
Great. Thank you so much, Praveen, for sharing that very interesting insight. Is that you keep the interest alive by taking them to these, or maybe showing them birds that they then generally don't get to see, and
Yeah, so
thereby
and
keeping
there
them
was this
fast.
leverage of trying to increase our lifers. So eBird is always competition, right? So who had the highest number of checklists, who had the highest number of species or the lifers? So that's what attracted students a lot. Yeah, yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
It was a competition, healthy competition among ourselves. Yeah, yeah.
Great, great. Thank
One
you,
thing which
thank
I
you.
wanted to add,
Yeah, please, please.
Monika, I do not have any of the people whom I have introduced to birding going like becoming crazy birders. So I really, but some of the things which I've actually like worked is once they have shown some interest to like sort of like ask them to go out birding again a couple of times till you figure out whether they will like sustain it or not. And also when you are birding, or like after you have done the birding, like to show the things which have actually like happened, which has not like happened earlier. Like say for example, this is from an actual experience. Greater painted snipe, oh, this is the first time we are actually seeing greater painted snipe at this particular lake. It has never happened earlier. That is something exciting for a person who has like started birding recently, that they have seen something which were not seen in that specific place earlier. And this is something which has like worked for me a couple of times to like get them out birding regularly. And after that, it is up to them. If it really excites them, they will continue birding, and then you also like figure out whether it is something which is going to happen or not.
True, true.
And like Praveen was telling, the lifers is something, but it takes a little while for people to like catch up onto the lifers. You have to have like a certain amount of birds in your list before you start like thinking about lifers. So if you make somebody reach that place, then you don't have to like do anything about it. After that, they are on their own.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Somehow Dhanajai sir has. Okay, anyway. So that's actually very interesting to know. There is also a question on publishing this work. I mean, I understand that many of us who are here today are not really are interested in publishing this data. And if you have had any publication from your monitoring effort, not necessarily something, let's say a large or a long-term data, but any observation, I think that would be useful for student and researcher to know that these monitoring effort need not to just lead to checklist building, but they can also lead to some sort of incentives. So anybody who had any publication from monitoring, or let's say any observation that come out as an outcome of monitoring, that would be useful for the students or researchers. Yeah.
In my case, I do think I don't have any publications like that, but since I've been monitoring this patch for some time, and it is a developing space. Urbanization is like happening at a very high rate, and I will be able to like find out the decline in number of species or not. Maybe it might not happen also. So I'm actually like thinking after say 10 years of data, this is something which I might be able to analyze and like come up with something. But yeah.
Same thoughts, Subhadra. After 10 years or after some, yeah, I agree.
Yep. I can give an example how students or who are doing masters or just in the bachelor's degrees how they can encash this publication thing to get an experience of publishing, because that's all we need to start publishing things. So little observations. So as I when I started my talk here, so I just told that I got into birding because I observed some nesting activity of laughing doves and red-vented bulbuls in the banana fruit bunch, right? So, after a couple of years of me started birding, and then one day I just sat in front of Google Scholar and then searched if laughing doves and red-vented bulbuls are being reported in nesting in the banana bunches, and surprisingly, there are no reports at all. So, so that led me to write a paper now. So I'm writing a short, article to send it to Indian Birds, but I'm too lazy to write that because I'm very busy with my own publications with my research. So it's very demanding that I need to attend to that first than this one. So, but that's what, it's an example there, a small observation. You can definitely write it as a observational note or a small paper if you have proper data. So this we are with this observation, it was observed first time in 2020 in our farm, but later this year, since we thought with my birding friend Karthik, he pushed me to write this paper. So with his help, so I thought of writing it as a full length paper. So that's why I told one of my own cousin, brother, he's a very younger brother. So he's doing his bachelor's in zoology. I told him to collect some preliminary data this year in June from the farm itself when he was spending his semester break back in my village. So I gave him some GPS points within the farm, and then he collected data points, data from the 8 GPS points within the farm itself. And we have some data now, which I can publish it as a full length paper now. So again, a small observation, a big impact actually. And surprisingly, since I didn't see any reports of these nesting behaviors in these kind of unusual nesting things, so I thought it's interesting to publish it as a small short note or a paper like that. So of course, yeah. So the point here is, yeah, even small observations, yeah, you can write it as a small paper, yes.
Yeah, totally agree, Praveen. And I think Indian Bird and other journals allow you to publish, let's say, your monitoring effort. If there are some, as you were saying, some interesting observation or patterns that have already been seen, I think that there are avenues. There is a question that is directly or that has been directed to Dhanajai sir, which is how can urban bird monitoring be made more effective and sustainable with participation of local government agencies like Forest Department and urban bodies?
Uh, uh, well, I just talked about the smart city program.
Yes, sir.
I don't have much idea about it because working in the forest department, you are a little aloof from the rest of the governance. See, forest department gradually and slowly, they're also, one must not forget that forest people are basically forest managers. So they have to manage a lot of things. But gradually, I can talk about my own state. The interest being shown even by the lower staff towards birds. At least they are bird friendly. They know there is something called bird watching. There are bird watchers around. They will come to their areas and stuff like that. And we've been doing a lot to popularize this through bird festivals and other activities. So and now gradually with a lot of bird-based tourism happening, it's also making a small impact in the economy. In fact, we are doing a report. Tetli Trust is doing it for us. Where we are trying to evaluate the economic impact of birdwatching tourism in Uttarakhand. So I would say that Uttarakhand is one of the leading states where we have been able to, at least involve department to some degree. And as I told you, a few monitoring protocols that we started, one of which is still sustaining. It's all because of their effort. So we have to approach them wherever we are, you'll find good people there who will be receptive to this. And more people, because I've also been a trainer for a long time. I think I must have lectured about birds and bird conservation to a few thousand forest officers from all ranks. So the exposure is there. And every time I've been telling them that the kind of potential we have in our country on this front is huge. So the exposure is there. Many of them are now taking up to this hobby. So we have to try and get their support. And the support can be very helpful even on the organizational front as well, because some of the bird walks and all, and many a times this becomes an important PR activity also. For example, during the wildlife week, which is not far now, just about a month away, uh, you can approach the local wildlife people and say that why don't we organize some bird walks during this time. So it will open doors for a very new audience, and for all you know, some of them may pick up. So we have to keep trying such things. And I think many people in the forest department will be very receptive to it. There would be some very different kind of people also. So uh, there's all diversity in within people as well. But don't get disheartened. There'll be a lot of people who will be very helpful, and I'm there to help wherever I can, any part of the country, to reach out to forest officers. And I'm pretty well networked with the forest fraternity. And if there is anything that I can help you with, I'll be only too happy. I mean, I can tell this to all the participants. Whenever you want to do anything with the forest department, and if you are having difficulty in reaching out to them, you can always contact me, and I'll try to help from my end. So that's one thing. And as I said, smart city, because biodiversity is supposedly and see, people managing smart city will have no clue on this. So you have to go and educate them also. It will require a little bit of perseverance, but I think in many cases it should pay. And it can also be a highlight point. See, the moment Chennai initiated this Chennai Biodiversity Index, it came in the newspapers. It became a high point, because see, everybody wants to talk about biodiversity conservation, bird conservation. It's a thing which we should capitalize on, and seek help from wherever we can get.
Thank you, sir. And I think we are going to spend now couple of more, as in like the leftover time to discuss about the opportunities. We did talk about the challenges, but there exist opportunities for people to not just watch bird but monitor them. So again, I mean, I think, for instance, we have been talking about eBird, we have been talking about Merlin, Citizen Science Platform, WhatsApp group that are available, and platforms on social media of birders or bird watchers. So I think it would be very useful if you all of you can one by one talk about what are some of the exciting opportunities that exist within urban areas to watch and monitor birds.
In Bangalore, there are actually groups which do bird watching on a regular basis. I know about one group which has been, I think, doing this group birding from some 1980s and all, which is like continuing even now. They have, I know about a group mail, Google group mail, which is there. I don't know whether they have a WhatsApp group. They might be even having a WhatsApp group. So new people who would want to like join a group to start birding can actually like reach out to this group, and they have like specific locations. And every Sunday, 4 Sundays in a month, they usually like do a birding in 4 locations in Bangalore. And also there are people who are like ready to take people out birding. If you just can look into the bird count India website, there are like clubs and groups which are listed down there for each city and in India. So that is actually a good place to also start. And like I was starting, like there are people who are ready to like take people out birding. You just need to like Ask around and you will find somebody who will be able to like connect you to someone who will be able to like help you out with birding. So starting upon that is actually like quite an easy thing now with the kind of communication which we have and the kind of platforms which we have.
I'm happy that you spoke about Bird Alliance, Subhadra, because I think that's a wonderful platform for people to get updates on bird monitoring and anything related to birds. So, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to talk about eBird and Merlin, especially because I mean, I think even if people who are watching bird, they may not be aware of such apps and how that has changed the birding or the monitoring trajectory for you.
Uh, may I? Yeah. Uh, First thing, I'll just want to add on what Subhadra said. We have such associations or groups now in most of the major cities. Like Dehradun, we have a very vibrant group, Doon Nature Walks, which organize such walks. And you rightly said that in this era of communication, it's very easy to network. And you go to other cities, there you can. I remember years back, I went to Jodhpur and I wanted to do some birding, had some time, and immediately got connected with the local birding group and had a fabulous birding session in one morning. And one more thing I wanted to say. See, bird watching is also a social activity. It's fun to be together and birding. If it's a small group, 2, 3, 4, or a largest group, also 10, 15, it's always great to be together and birding. And I think that's also part of the enjoyment. It's not just the bird, it's the company of bird watchers, which is also very pleasurable. So, and then coming to these apps and all, because I have also seen this evolution. I remember eBird when it came to India, you could only upload checklists in the desktop. Then the app came, and now Merlin is attached to it, and it's making things very easy. And one thing that in monitoring protocol, when we have larger number of people involved, then there is traditionally we used to call it observer bias. If the same area is being surveyed by different people at different time of the years or different years, then there could be an observer bias because the skills vary from person to person. So I think with these aids like Merlin particularly, that observer bias is narrowing because people can now, and particularly with the new generation, they are very good. I remember a couple of months back, I was touring in one area in eastern Uttarakhand, Champawat. The divisional forest officer who was accompanying me, I think he had no idea about birds, but he knew about Merlin app and he opened and he just by looking at the app, he could say that these birds are calling. He didn't know about those birds. So the apps are very getting powerful and powerful. Of course, the old timers like me will always say that first we must try on our own, and that only actually the fun of bird watching is all about identifying things which are challenging. But yes, when you are in a monitoring protocol, this observer biases can actually distort your results, and that's where I think these aids can be very helpful. And those who are not so good at birding, they can also use these apps and make their data comparable and analyzable in the same level.
Yeah. One more thing I want to add is like in eBird there is breeding codes. With the help of those breeding codes, no, you can actually not only the count or abundance, you can see the you can monitor the behavior, bird breeding behavior, all those things also. So it is not restricted to count or this only. So you have to utilize those breeding codes to understand the breeding behavior of the birds also. In the urban area also, it is very helpful because I'm using all those breeding codes.
So what you mean, Sahana, is that using those code, you can actually get finer information. For instance,
yeah.
what sir was saying that maybe the males are singing
Singing
earlier. Sorry,
bird.
males are calling, females are coming late. Those
There
kind
is
of
like, yeah.
finer information.
Carrying nesting material, all those things are there. So you
Very
select that
useful.
and you'll
Yeah,
get a one.
correct.
So
And
whether
I think
the bulbuls are extending their breeding period, all those information, no, you get because of that. And you can extract those informations, that also.
Okay. So I think We are almost reaching the closing time. So instead of asking more question, I would request all of you to just share like your last final few words of wisdom for the people who are attending. But before we do that, I would like to make an announcement to the people who are attending us online on Zoom and also listening to us on YouTube and are sharing their comments on Discord. Please continue to do so. We understand that you may not have questions or comments to share with us right now, but you can do so on Discord, and we'll majority of us are there on Discord, and we'll be happy to answer the question on Discord. There is a so yes, please go ahead, and I would again like to start with Dhanajai sir. If you can just share like what is urban bird monitoring and these opportunities and challenges for you, I think that would be good for the participant to listen.
Yeah, I think we've spoken a lot, but in the end, I would only like to say that urban areas are the places where most of the bird watchers reside, and so this should be a very big strength in having a very good database on urban birds. And we this will be the way things are changing, the way people are getting more and more sensitive about conservation. This information, this quantified information, will be very, very valuable. And so I would only use this platform to request all fellow birders to initiate, if they have not already done it, some kind of monitoring, patch monitoring, or whatever in their areas, and just look at birds beyond identification. There's so much that I mean, that is to be learned about them and their behavior and everything. And it can be very, very exciting. So that is what I wanted to say, and reach out to organizations. And I'm sure many of them will be very helpful in different ways. Yes. So happy birding and happy patch birding.
Thank you, sir. And I'm pretty sure after listening to our discussion, at least some of them would go and start the patch monitoring from today only. Sahana, would you like to go next?
Yeah, the thing is, green space in urban is getting altered. So large trees are replaced by small trees or middle sized trees. With that, bird distribution also getting altered. So so we need to, as urban people, we need to put our effort in monitoring all those things, what's happening, all those things. So just go out and do the bird, because each record matters in science. So that's the thing.
Thanks, Sahana. That's the best way to put it. Subhadra, would you like to go next?
Yeah, actually, when I go out birding in the morning every day, I'm actually not looking at, oh, let me go collect some data. I am just going out because looking at those birds and listening to those birds are going to bring me joy. Yeah, as a side effect, I'm collecting data. So showing people that joy of birding is something which can actually like bring more people into this, and like Sahana was telling, and also Dhanajai sir was telling, that get more people to do monitoring on a regular basis in the urban areas.
Thank you, Subhadra. I think that's what I have been doing with my son. I hardly get to do the regular birding I used to do. But whenever I'm taking him out, and he has been saying I'm trying to also teach him Kannada name for birds. So for Kaukal, at least he's trying to mimic the call of the bird. And that's very heartening. And I really want to give this heritage of the birds that we had to the next generation. I hope that he also get to hear the birds that I heard when I was in Dehradun, woke up listening to such calls. So thanks. I think that's again very nice to hear. Praveen, last but
Yeah, yeah. So I would like to say that, like, um, So it's mainly with the campus birding again. So of course we have so many campuses in the cities. So I would request the students who are in their respective campus, like not to hesitate to start even a small activity within their campus, because I started it as a small activity but which became very big. So just to quote an example here, so GKVK is one of the busiest hotspot in whole India. So we have more than 25,000 checklists from this one location, and then more than 240 species of birds being reported in the eBird. So 25,000 checklists, I mean, that's a huge data set we already have, and then we can do a lot of research on this data itself. So that's what, a small initiative can do a lot of things. So don't hesitate to start something within your own campuses. So we can generate a lot of wonderful data from all of these small pockets in the city itself. That's my message to the students who are in their respective universities. Thank you, and of course thanks a lot for this opportunity. So I am the least experienced among all of you people. So I'm very happy and then grateful to have gotten this opportunity to discuss about my experiences here. Thank you.
Thanks, Praveen, but I would say that you probably had the highest energy.
Yeah.
I can't save that for Dhanajai sir, though. I mean, I'm sure he can outrun you. Yeah, but yeah, I think we are again almost on time, and I would, if I have to summarize this session, what I gathered is that it doesn't make it small. If you're just monitoring bird in your rooftop or in your kitchen garden, wherever you are doing, do it consistently. There are tools nowadays, platforms that are available to you. Mittal also reminded me, we were talking about women's safety, so now thankfully there are these groups and you can get in touch with them. You can go out bird watching as a just in a group of women, and the future looks bright, because I mean there are people who are training them young, Sahana, Subhadra, Praveen, of course Dhanajai sir for that matter, and yes, just I think last time when we were talking, we all realized that it would be least to do a batch monitoring in your background or in your backyard. So please go ahead and start patch monitoring. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, the panelists, for being there for 1.5 hours talking about this particular topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.